Israel-Hamas war enters day 10, Republic TV spoke exclusively to the Israeli Prime Minister's office spokesperson who shed light on the current situation in Israel.
By Israel Prime Minister Office's spokesperson, Mr. Levy, in a short while from now. I'm told that Mr. Levy has already joined us on this broadcast. Mr. Levy, thank you very much for joining us on Republic TV as we continue with our rolling coverage.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Over the last few days, Mr. Levy, we have spoken to several survivors on this entire matter, and we see the current situation being the way it is. As far as India is concerned, our position has been extremely clear that there can be no compromise with terror. So let me begin by asking you this question about the current situation, because there have been some sort of advice that has been given to you by the United Nations. Antonio Guterres says that 1.1 million people to be evacuated from Gaza cannot perhaps be done in such a short period of time. As a spokesperson of Israel's Prime Minister's office, could you give us a sense of what's really happening in terms of the evacuation and what lies ahead?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to relate what you said at the beginning. India really has been a solid supporter of Israel during this war, a war that was forced on us, understands that there can be no compromise with bloodthirsty terrorists who committed an ISIS-style atrocity last week, and Israel is very appreciative of India's support. Now, as for the humanitarian situation inside the Gaza Strip, look, we're watching the same images on TV, and I know that the situation inside the Gaza Strip is difficult to see. Here's the situation as Israel sees it. Israel intends to destroy Hamas. Israel intends to destroy the terrorist organization that perpetrated the ISIS-style atrocities of the 7th of October. And in order to do that, in order to strike the legitimate terrorist targets inside the Gaza Strip, it is asking civilians to get out of harm's way temporarily for their own safety to the south of Gaza. We know that it's difficult. We know that it's not going to be easy, but Israel doesn't want civilians to be hurt. We do not want to see any more suffering. And that is why Israel is saying that the people of Gaza who are, by the way, themselves victims of Hamas, because Hamas has embedded its terrorist infrastructure under their schools, under their homes, under their hospitals. The civilians of Gaza need to temporarily evacuate to the south of Gaza so that Israel can attack Hamas targets inside the northern Gaza Strip.
Mr. Levy, I also want to understand from you in terms of the challenges that you essentially face. Let's be very clear, you've given enough indications that this time it's going to be very different. The war has been going on for a very, very long time, but this war is very different. So one cannot perhaps rule out the possibility of a ground offensive to take place, keeping in mind the mobilization of troops that have taken place. Give us a sense of the criticality at this point in time.
That's very important for viewers to understand, because I'm sure your viewers have watched the multiple rounds of fighting between Israel and Hamas inside the Gaza Strip. And it's important to remember something about this particular round. It's not a round of fighting. This is a war. This is a war that Hamas waged on Israel, that it launched on Israel with an act of war, with a war crime, the October 7th massacre, when they butchered 1,300 people, injured nearly 4,000 people, took nearly 200 people hostages inside the Gaza Strip. That was a war crime. Israel was dragged into it, and Israel is going to defend itself now. This is an operation in which Israel has decided we can no longer exist with a terrorist organization like Hamas with its ISIS-style atrocities on our borders so close to our home front. At the end of this war, we will create a new reality inside the Gaza Strip in which the terrorist organization that perpetrated the October 7th massacre, the worst terror attack in world history after 9/11, will no longer have an ability to harm Israeli civilians. Hamas is ISIS. Hamas is worse than ISIS. And Israel intends to destroy Hamas just as the world destroyed ISIS, and the whole world enjoys so much more security for the way that the whole international community came together in order to destroy the terrorist death machine of ISIS in Syria and Iraq. And Israel is going to do exactly the same with Hamas, because we deserve exactly the same security that the rest of the world has from having defeated the awful, awful atrocities of the Islamic State ISIS group.